Let me introduce myself briefly. I am Dhiren Thakur, serving as a Director, Quality Assurance and Food Safety at Redstone Food Group. Redstone is a leading premium bakery manufacturer, operating 4 facilities across GTA. And our product portfolio includes artisanal bread, garlic knot, cookies, muffin, coffee cake, serving both Canadian and the US market. Redstone has established a strong presence in the portfolio we serve, and our commitment to innovation, quality, safety is driving growth and creates excitement in the market. So let's welcome you all. I am delighted to have you all here in this exciting session of next generation food safety, AI, blockchain, and supply chain. The challenges we face today is globalized sourcing, rapid distribution, increasing customers' expectation. They are pushing us to rethink how we track, verify our process, procedure, and safeguard the food we produce, we love. The good news is that we have strong tools at our disposal now. Artificial intelligence is helping us to predict risks before they happen. Blockchain is giving unprecedented visibility and transparency across the supply chain. Together, they are transforming the whole process, procedure, and our tracking system, what it was not in the history before. Having said that, innovation has its own challenges. How we scale this technology, how we make sure the data integrity, how we can make them practical and scale it to the scale where it is available throughout the supply chain. That is exactly what we are right here to explore. We have our outstanding panel members who are not only thinking about these questions, they are actively working on solutions. So let's jump right in and explore what the future of food safety looks like. I would like to ask our panel member to introduce themselves and share their perspective on the emerging technology and its relevance to the food safety with the delegates. Thank you. I will start with Ryan.
Hi, Ryan Poon. I'm from Pattison Food Group. We have Western Canada. We have around 300 retailer stores. We have distribution networks, and then we have some manufacturing supply chains, and all of that. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I am Saba. I lead the operations at Nurau. My background is more occupational health and safety as well as nutrition, food safety, but then went to public health, biostatistics, and epidemiology. So I'm wired to think of signals, data, patterns, and et cetera. And that's going to be the perspective that I'm going to bring on the conversation, operational efficiency here.
Yep. So let's begin with some discussion on the topic we are talking about. So, Saba, from your perspective, what are the most significant challenges facing the food safety today, and why they require new technologies?
That's a very good question. I think and we are all in the food safety world here. There are lots of experts here, so I won't speak on behalf of you guys, but I think what I see when I deploy Nurau across multiple sites, we're talking about companies ranging from 1 operating sites to 400 operating sites. What I see the challenge is that we focus a lot on AI, digitalizing everything we can, automating workflows and pathways that we can, but then forget about all the knowledge and data that we already have that are just scattered amongst different channels, right? We all have Teams, we all have WhatsApp, Slack for some of you. There's already data there. And so instead of focusing on implementing a new tool, let's focus on breaking silos that are already existent. So I think one thing that I see a lot is the focus on building or using another tool, but forgetting that we already have a lot in our suitcases. What can we do with that data? What does it say? Is there an organizational brain, muscle memory that we can build upon that will help us see what are the patterns? Why do I have QA coming in every morning at the shift because there is a defect on a specific item? Why is that? Is it always because Joe is working and Joe is a new person, like he's new to the processes and procedures of the business? And so there's a lot of data, and I think it's just the focus of, instead of focusing on going, pushing the business too forward, take a step back, see what you have currently, analyze and assess, see the data, collect it, structure it, and then be able to act upon it later.
Yeah, thank you. Ryan, can you share your perspective about the use of technology?
Yeah, I definitely echo Saba's kind of comment, because one of the things with all AI and all that, at the core of it, unless your manufacturing or supply chain is fully automated, all machine, there's going to be a people aspect into it, and you can't get away from it. And that's one of the things, I think we've all said, I think even Brad kind of mentioned, kind of the people aspect of it. It's very critical to your operation, because, hey, you can have the best system in the world, but if your people's not following it and using it, then it's kind of a very expensive system that you paid for that, it's not working for you. And that's where, for me and kind of my perspective, kind of AI and all that, it's really, instead of, revolutionizing, hey, the big, systems, automation, whatever, it's more, to me, it's where the benefit is, how can we help, the people, the frontline employees, and how they can, hey, do their work more effectively, where they don't have to consider, right? Because there's so many aspects of, food safety, quality assurance, that it's really easy to kind of, hey, pick and choose. Hey, we can do one thing very good, but at the same time, you still have to think about the hundreds of other things that, hey, everyone is kind of thinking in the back of their mind. It's like, hey, is that really working? Does that really help, right?
Yeah, thank you. I have a follow-up question on this one, because as a QA, for me, the one thing is really I am looking forward that AI will help us in predictive risk management. Now, there is a lot of things being said. Artificial intelligence is a game changer for food safety, but we still need to understand that what practical applications and how it can deliver. So I would like, again, this question, I am opening this to also discussion, because I know that in the delegates, we have people who are actively working on this kind of thing. Anybody have experience, they can also share. So can we just look to some example, practical example of AI already delivering today? And where do you see the greatest opportunity for predictive risk management? Can Ryan, you start on this one?
Yeah. So for us, because we actually use kind of AI, we don't use it as much in the front end. Kind of for us, kind of the back end, kind of the predictive. Because as a retailer, we get complaints, issues from all across our stores. I don't even remember the stats now. We get tens of thousands of complaints, comments, and all that. Hey, because when you go through the tills, you get the till tape. Oh, there's a hey, you have your comments, feedback. So we get those very frequent. One of the big issues we've had, because hey, we have very passionate customers. They would fill up paragraphs and paragraphs of comments to us. But sometimes, back then, it's like it was hard to even differentiate. Hey, is that comment in general good or not good, or is it certain aspect? Oh, he liked the produce that we have, but the meat wasn't that good, right? So right now, what we've had, with our IT group, it's kind of, hey, with those comments and feedback, is there a kind of trending on particular stores or particular commodities or SKUs that customers are always kind of having that kind of either positive or negative feedback, and those are kind of with kind of the AI technology, then it's kind of in the background. It's like, hey, for our store managers, hey, your stores, we're seeing, hey, the deli department's having, kind of, more concerns, or people are saying it's not as clean and all that. So that kind of drilled down to a very specific, applicable, knowledge for the store managers. Because before they were like, hey, I have hundreds of these comments, I have to read through it, but at the same time, they still have to go at the floor, hey, stocking shelf, greeting customers, and all of that. So those are some of those things that for me, kind of that AI, kind of how it, background, kind of that predictive or kind of the more, trending and kind of how that connects with our customer. So to, give better customer service to all of our customer.
Very good one. I will just jump in here, and I think you touched on a very good point, which is we have data, it's unstructured, we can't read it, right? There's already a lot of, I call it the two memories of the organization. We have two memories, right? There's one that is more on the, I call it the record keeping, which is the declarative memory, which is all the incidents, all the logs, all the Excel files that have every piece of data together. Might be unstructured, but it's there. It exists, right? 80–90% of the data is already there. The second type of memory is the one that is more procedural, is what do I do with that information and what was the mitigation plan that happened on the first incident? And as the second one, am I using the same mitigation plan? So is there a muscle memory that is being built? And that's how we're able to influence the behavior at the front line, because we think of front line, they're the biggest problem, but at the same time, the biggest opportunity. They are the one controlling your business and the way you operate it. And what I see that we tend to do is that we say, okay, there's a new AI tool, and by the way, AI is just built on neuroscience background. So when talking about AI, it's neurosciences. The way your brain has different neurons connected to different departments, but it has the synapses that connects them. It's not about having AI in one specific department. It's how can you bring those synapses together so it makes it function and work. Coming back to the memories, it's how can you help influence the behavior of the operators without changing their behaviors, without asking them, there's another checklist to fill out, because that is more on the compliance culture, and compliance is great because we can do business, we have to be compliant, but it doesn't tell you what happened exactly. What was the mitigation plan that was put in place? And how can I prevent the next incident from happening? What are the near misses? What are the signals? And building on those muscle memories, I think, is the main thing, and not adding another load onto your operators' shift, because it competes with what they do, which is to get things done.
Yeah, thank you. No, I agree that AI is a beautiful thing, but a lot of time we are just on surface. We do not do the basic groundwork to think that where we... Again, as a QA, I know that there will be always QA job. AI is not going to replace QA. But what AI will do that, it will replace the QA who is not using AI with the who is using AI. So that's a lot of learning for all of us is involved. Again, I would like to also reflect you on the another important topic of blockchain, right? So again, blockchain is definitely helping us in managing as a powerful tool for traceability. But there are certain limitations, right? Do you like to touch upon the few things you think as a constant where food companies or food establishment are struggling in implementing the blockchain for traceability? Thank you.
So for me, kind of blockchain is it's a very kind of double-edged sword, because as a retailer, we deal with thousands of suppliers and vendors, and they all have their own systems and processes, and that's where it's very, it's very hard to kind of consolidate it to hey, one system, one process, or one blockchain, to kind of oversee everything, and that's where kind of for what I see more in kind of the blockchain is kind of those standardizing of what is out there in the industry. Is there one way that we can do it? And sometimes there are more of these things where it's kind of the government's kind of more now into it, that's kind of pushing that forward, because most of us here, I don't know, big, small vendors, it's like we deal with some smaller mom and pop local suppliers that they don't have the resources and kind of that know-how. It's like, hey, I just want to make my product and sell it to my local stores. How, that jump into that, hey, you need to do all of this, blockchain, labeling, on top of that, while they're just thinking about how can I make my product just a bit better so I can stand out on the shelves and, hey, the customer want to buy it, right? And that's where, to me, kind of the blockchain, for a lot of, these, especially the smaller vendors, it's very hard for them to kind of get into it. And that's really, to me, one of the harder part in kind of the, the supply chain per se, and bringing that together. Again, if there was a way that, hey, it's consolidated, hey, one processes, across the board, with some kind of industry standard, then that might help push it along. And I think that's going to be, it's a definitely big undertaking. But if there was, then there would be very streamlined traceability, and that's where for us, we, for our private brand items, we've tried some of those within kind of our local produces where, hey, you scan a QR code, you can know exactly where that exact blueberry came from, which farm that it was, right? But that's where it's very, at least to us, it's kind of localized to the commodity where we can work with the vendor, what they can do, and therefore we can kind of work with them on those things.
Thank you. Saba, would you like to explain?
Yeah, I think, blockchain technologies were built because there is a lack of trust between parties, right? It's to bring that trust piece between parties that do not trust each other. At the end of the day, it brings on that visibility and that transparency amongst the supply chain. But one thing that it doesn't do is that it's not in control of the data source, right? Is that data reliable? Can I count on it? Is it accurate? And so there has to be a way where we're not just making supply chain transparent, but we're also making the shift within the frontline worker, the mom and pop shop, also that piece transparent. So how can I give those people access to what is the information that needs to be captured in a way that we're not adding on another mental overload onto their day-to-day? They just want to make the empanadas, right? They don't want to deal with the blockchain and visibility. But how can we make their shifts transparent? So this is where I'm talking about like the data source. We have all of those data in place. How can we enhance blockchain knowledge? It would be by adding the small signals that are within your team's channels, that are already information, let's say in case of a recall, well, where in the supply chain it happened? What was the history? What were the near misses? Do I have access to that data? Because that data is going to make me trust what I receive as a big organization or grocer or wholesaler. So I think blockchain has its goods and at the same time its challenges, which it brings transparency, but at which degree? Can I trust the information, yes or no, and is it accurate?
Thank you. Undoubtedly, blockchain is the one technology who has transformative impact on the industry. Like even now, a small manufacturer who is supplying somewhere, they have the QR code and you can know the recipe and you can know details. That's amazing. It was not the case like decade before, right? Okay. So I completely agree with you. But now the next challenge is integration, trust, and regulatory acceptance. So I would like to touch upon that. What's our thought on that one? How this technology can be integrated with the existing tools we have, sometimes the legacy system. Also, how it will be acceptable to our regulator, because consumer will get the value, manufacturer will get the value, but at the end of the day, regulator has to be aligned. So can you touch upon few constraints where the integration is challenging and also the acceptance from the third party or regulatory body can be a constant? And can you start talking a little bit about the integration side?
Okay. So, for, kind of, that's a very loaded question. So right now with kind of all, with the business side of things in connection to the regulatory agencies and kind of and the vendors and whatnot, because as a retailer, we're kind of right in the middle, right? Because we're the first ones, typically, hey, when there's a issue that happens, the CFI would be calling us, hey, we're getting these customer, issues and whatnot, and then we're illness, can you figure out, where they bought what they have bought from you guys, kind of the purchase history. Because that's what we have, historical data on, our customers, what they bought, when they bought it, what store they bought it. So that's kind of, one of the first things that they come to us for. And then with those kind of information, then they kind of, hey, on their end, kind of, filter out what can link to specific items that they're kind of interested in. And then that's where we kind of sometimes help them, hey, connect it to a specific product or supplier that, hey, you might want to be looking at it. I remember, kind of recall way back when, it was a couple years now. It's like, I remember CFI was coming to us, hey, we're having an issue with, I believe it was avocados. And they were trying to search for the avocado issues with it, and then, with all their data, and then afterwards, when they got all the purchase history, it wasn't the avocado that they were looking at or looking into. It was actually the corn, and there was a big recall for corn, and then that got pushed out on that. So right now, that's why, going back to it, the data is there, and that's why there's a lot of information that can be filtered from it, and that's where in different people and different kind of companies, it's going to be used differently to help them, hey, find a product faster or find an issue faster. Can we figure out a way to kind of connect these data to some manageable kind of information that can be traced more quickly and easily into, with an illness investigation, with a recall, because it's very hard to do, and especially, but that's definitely improved in the last while.
Thank you, Dan. So I would like to add a little bit on how we can connect technology with governance, compliance, collaboration, this kind
Absolutely. I think one thing that I do, the perspective that I bring is that I don't lead or run a site. I see over different sites, different organizations, and I'm able to see the different patterns. What I see was the biggest success was when we're talking and tackling AI. At the end of the day, I lead a data and AI company, right? And I lead the deployment of that technology and the assessment. What I think is the best course of action is to assess where is your data currently? Where does it stay? Is it on the Teams channel? Is it on your WhatsApp? Is it on your WMS systems? Where is the information? And then assess, where are my source of risks? And what are the levels of the severity of the risks, right? And having the ability, because one thing that I've seen is that I was deploying the platform into a DC, and then they had Teams channel for food safety, and they had a WhatsApp for health and safety, and then they had their emails for all the escalation pathways, the escalations that they were bringing to each departments. But we see that a lot of the situations and the signals happen within the same time. It's just that they're not connected. Information is on WhatsApp, information is on Teams, information is on email. So what I've done, I cheated a little bit, and I'm like, look, information is there. Nurau is another source of information and data that we can capture. But what about connecting all of the different tools that you're using, surface the data and the risks? Because maybe the incidents that the QA spot that is on the Teams channel could be related to the health and safety channel that was on the WhatsApp group. And then you're able to connect the dots together and say, okay, I'm building a brain, an organizational brain for my company. So where I see AI could help and has the biggest success is once you utilize it and design it to gather the feedback from the different sources, connect it so you can have better, accurate information. And then once you've done that, it gives you data on, okay, what is the scope of deployment of a technology? Where do I put it? What are the friction, right? And what is my operator, how is it going to influence their day-to-day? Because at the end of the day, if I just digitalize a form, which is great, but that form is going to bring me awareness. It's not going to bring me action. It's not going to give me a mitigation plan. And once I'm doing the feedback to the operator, once they pull in the information, well, what do I base myself on? Do I have the historical knowledge that you are mentioning to act on it? And that, I think, is going to be helped and enhanced by AI. But the core of the situation is deal with your data that you already have, because there's a lot of information there. And at the end of the day, my perspective is my job is how can I make your business run smoother, more efficiently, operation-wise? And I have this equation that I always say. It's operational efficiency equals visibility multiply, but 4 factors, which is quality, which is the defects, deviations, anything that I can have on the quality perspective, safety, number of near misses that happen, or accidents, effectiveness, was I able to get the job done, and efficiency, was it done in a costly manner for my CFOs?
Yeah. Thank you, so much. So I'm aware of the time now we have. So I would like to open the house for discussion, and I'm just throwing the question to anybody who can make comment on this one. That let's say in 5 years from now, we meet again here. What the most transformative development in the food safety technology we think? If you have one sentence, you can add anything, Ryan, Sava, and then it will be open to all.
I think it would be reducing the number of platforms that we use to be able to have one place of visibility that can give, at the same time, at the floor level, to the director, to the VPs, to even the owner of the organization, one place of visibility that connects all the dots together.
Visibility, product, process, and everything.
Everything together, because at the end of the day, it's there, but it's not connected. So one platform that will give you access to that knowledge that you can act upon.
Thank you. Right?
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of the legacy systems, Throughout it, it's kind of understand your legacy systems, what you have and what you need, because at the core of it, it's about what you need to push yourself, your department, and your company forward in kind of, making those visibility, those knowledge that you can, hopefully be a predictive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are almost there. We can get one question, one comment from the audience.
We have a question there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get you the microphone. And kindly state your name and where you're from, please.
Hello? Oh, okay. Hi. Hi, everyone. Karen from Riven International. My question is, what are the current controls in place for data security with using AI and blockchain?
Question for me, Ryan?
For you.
Okay.
For both, I guess.
I think you've got to be able to really talk with your provider on what are the different data sources, where are their data stored, what do they do with the data, what is the type of visibility that you give them. One thing that I do is it's all about trust, right? Is that I give full ownership on the customer and the client side. So if there are specific channels on your teams that you want to connect, that these are the information, this is what we're going to connect to. But I think it's all transparency on what do you give control and what are the guardrails that you're going to put in place. Because what I've done is that I'm like, okay, QA has its own processes, health and safety has its own processes. At which step with our technology, what the platform is that it's all about shift intelligence. People put their notes, get the investigation and mitigation plan, get escalated to the proper person. But at which situation, what is the level of autonomy that you want the operators to have versus what is the level that you want to be escalated to at the health and safety, food safety department, QA department. And I think it's make sure that your provider is giving you full visibility on what are the guardrails. So that way it won't give do this in this type of situation. And finally, it's like the whole opposite, right? So data privacy, security, and transparency on what do they do exactly. And at the same time, are they willing to go the extra mile with you? Because at the end of the day, there's no one size fits all. Are they able to customize the solution at a certain degree for you? And I think this is where you really are going to be able to be a winner in that relationship with your provider.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. For
Any other questions?
Okay. Do we have time? One question.
One more question? No?
We're shy.
Oh, we have one right here.
Yeah.
That's okay. From Loblaws. Yeah. One second. Sorry, while the microphone is here. 1 second.
Yeah, I'm really curious to understand.
If you could put the microphones.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm really curious to understand if there's such AI models that will be helpful, or like say they're combining the AI-driven, would say, enhanced inspection with human oversight, or would it cause any conflicts? Like the model is saying that this is this, but then human oversight is saying this. Is there a way that we combine that so that operations becomes more efficient, more trustworthy, and not cause confusion?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's such a great question. Something that I see a lot is you always want that human in the loop, but at the same time, it's not just human in the loop to approve or not. It's a human in the loop that is going to be able to influence the course of action that the operator is going to take. So here we're talking about you don't want to take away what operators love to do, which is to get things done, right? You want to guide them and give them the pathways and the mitigation plan so they can do it on time and they don't have to wait and get frustrated because they're waiting on a response. Am I good to continue production or not? So there always needs to be a way of controlling how the model reacts, and you have to crack that egg. We were able to crack it because we have the whole neuroscience and behavioral patterns that were inputted, but you have to make sure that that's a very good point, that there's always a human that is going to be able to influence the course of action, and not only just blindly trust what the platform is going to tell you.
Yeah. So I would just like to add to Sawa that, okay, no AI will replace the food safety culture.
At all.
Like, no matter how good technology is that, people will drive the success of the technology. If we do not emphasize the food safety culture, technology will not be successful because it will bring more misery to the people that, okay, we know that we are not successful, visibility will, but the success will come from the people implementing the technology and understanding and supporting from the ground level. That's my take on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank
for
you
our
very much,
panelists.
sir. Thank you.